Why, hello, all you beautiful. Why are we buffering? Oh no. Why, hello to all you beautiful basketball lovers and hoop heads. My name is Bryce, and this is Checkup. You already knew that, though. You already knew that if you're a real one. But if you didn't know that, hello and welcome. I hope you're having a wonderful day, man. I couldn't be having the better damn day because we're here to talk about hoops. I think I say that every single time, and it is literally true every single time. And again, as always, if you somehow managed to get here without looking at the title or the thumbnail of this video, today we are talking about the Boston Celtics and the one and only Payton Pritchard. Payton Pritchard is a really, really interesting basketball player. He's a very good basketball player, and he's been somebody that's become very, very integral to the success of this Boston team. If you're not familiar with Payton Pritchard's game, he is a sharp shooting point guard, man. This guy can score the hell out of the damn basketball. When he gets going, there are certain guys in the leagues on heaters that are just so enjoyable to watch. Payton Pritchard is absolutely one of those guys, and he can get hot, heavy, and hot in a hurry, man. And the Celtics need it. They want it. They love it. The Celtics crowd love him, and it's hard not to see why. He's a tough-nosed basketball player. He gets down. He gets dirty, and he just does a lot of things that are winning basketball. Now, he has his flaws, of course. There are reasons he's not making $40 million and starting for the Celtics. We'll talk about that as we go on. But we're going to start this video with something really fun. It's a little thing. You know, one of those things that role players do that is just kind of unique to them. And I think you're going to immediately see why the Boston Celtics fans love Payton Pritchard so much. So without further ado, why don't we go ahead and get into the basketball, right? So the fun little quirk within Payton Pritchard's game that I hinted at and gave you some foreshadowing to earlier is this guy's offensive rebounding. Now you may be asking yourself, what is a 6-foot white point guard? What does he have any right being included in offensive rebounding conversations? But man, let me tell you, this guy deserves to be there. Again, just one of those really funny things that not a lot of people probably catch on to unless they are huge Boston Celtics fans. But he's an excellent offensive rebounder, and it's due to a number of different things. I think firstly being that he just tries. One thing that I really love about Payton Pritchard is just that he gives a damn. He gives an effort. But this is not only a hustle stat, offensive rebounding. It's an IQ stat. There are some guys who just have a tendency, and let's go ahead and roll the clips while we're talking. There are some guys who just have a tendency to know how a shot is coming off the rim when they see it. Some people are better with angles than others, you know? And he's one of those guys who he always seems to be in right position. It's not like he's out leaping guys to get the ball. It's not like he's like elbowing and shoving people out of the way. He just snakes into the right position, almost always from the perimeter. Now, it definitely helps that he plays for the Boston Celtics, because what do the Celtics do? They take a metric shit ton of three-pointers. And what do missed three-pointers lead to? They lead to long rebounds. And long rebounds are an excellent way to get easy offensive boards. And Payton Pritchard gets a fair share of those. But if we just say that they're all, long rebounds, would be doing a discredit. Man, look at that. I love the way he just immediately fires that shot. But just calling these all long rebounds would be doing a disservice to the position that Payton Pritchard often puts himself in. And according to databaller.com, he is in the 86th percentile of team miss rebounds. So basically offensive rebounding. They have it defined as the percentage of time a player rebounds that teammates miss. So he's in the 86th percentile of that stat on their website. I would assume that the rest of the top of that stat is filled with big men, but here Payton Pritchard just kind of sits beautifully. And again, this is, I don't want to call this a hustle stat exclusively. Yes, he tries. He tries a lot more than other people, but again, he's just always in the right position to make the right kind of play. There are often times, I think, where as people who are fans of basketball, we confuse IQ and hustle. Hustle is part of it. IQ is another part of it. Think about players like Christian Brown and Alex Caruso and Payton Pritchard. Yes, they are all white, of course, but also these guys are like really smart players. They try and they give a damn, but they also like are in the correct positions on the court to make plays, and that's what Payton Pritchard does. Now, here are two plays that are some of my favorites of his. Firstly, we have a missed Al Horford corner three. Payton Pritchard started this play in the opposite corner. He moves down here to the baseline to try to get this. Now, granted, he's obviously not getting the initial rebound here, but this ball is going to be tipped out to the opposite corner, and he just hustles his little ass. He hustles himself over to grab this ball and taps it right to Horford, who launches up another three, of course, which unfortunately clangs off the rim. But those are the kind of plays that winning basketball players make, and there's something that's very useful to teams. Here's another favorite play of mine, a favorite little rebound of his. Al Horford again, opposite side corner. Here's Payton Pritchard, already moving towards the ball. Derek White, Porzingis, Jayson Tatum, none of them even flinching, moving at all. And you see Donovan Mitchell turns his head, looks at Payton Pritchard, and is like, okay, I got to put a body on this guy. But does not put a body on him. This ball is going to clank off the rim there, and Payton Pritchard somehow, despite being the player furthest from this ball, it's going to land just on like the right middle side of the center of the court. He's the furthest player away from this, and yet he's going to chase down this rebound and pass it back out to his own team. That's pure, that's a very smart play. He immediately starts moving as soon as Horford launched the shot, and then he puts in the effort to get his team an extra possession. Those are just winning basketball plays. That's the kind of stuff you love to see out of role players. It's the kind of stuff you need to see from role players in order for them to stay on the court. So, we don't have to spend too long looking at rebounding clips, although I think it's one of my personal favorite pastimes. And we can go ahead and move on to the next portion of Payton's game that I want to talk about. Now, I almost forgot to highlight another one of my favorite rebounds from Payton, which again showcases that high IQ thing. And we'll just talk about this one real quick. This is against the Pacers. Obviously, as we can see, we've got Tatum ISO up top. We get this interesting little action where Horford runs up to set a screen for Tatum, but Horford's man gets screened in the action, meaning if we get a decent screen from Al Horford, which we do, Jayson Tatum has this nice little pull-up. All right, this is going to clang off the front of the rim. Now, again, we notice that Payton immediately moving towards the rim, but we also have three Pacers players, once again, in the vicinity, and they are in front of him. If somebody just puts a body on him. But this is, look at the way he reacts quickly to where that ball is going. Miles Turner is just like sprinting for the rim, and then all of a sudden he's like, oh shit, this ball is like bouncing way back here. But like Payton just fast twitch so quickly, reacts to the trajectory of that ball changing, and then gets this nice offensive board. Miles Turner is not a good rebounding big, but still, it's just impressive how quick his reflexes are when it comes to changing angles on those rebounds. Now, this would not be a Payton Pritchard video if we didn't talk about his three-point shooting. Obviously, his most valuable asset in this league, and a perfect example of just like having a surefire NBA skill being a way for you to get minutes on the court. That's something I always say with young guys, and especially like young players taken in the back half of the draft or in the second round, I always like targeting individuals who have like a surefire NBA skill, because that means they will be valuable in some respects. Now, there may be other areas, obviously, where they struggle, but if you can provide any sort of value, that gives you a pathway to making it on the court. Payton Pritchard does exactly that. He is an excellent three-point shooter. Now, I am sorry for this being the second consecutive video where we talk about white shooters, but where would the world be without him? You know what I mean? Now, the thing I want you to notice about Payton Pritchard is just the consistency with which this shot comes out. I think something that's interesting with players that are poor shooters is how inconsistent their forms are, and then also something that's really changed with, the rise of, I'd say probably Steph Curry is the most common reason for this, but players back when they learned how to shoot were taught to kind of shoot in two motions, those being the load up of the ball, so set your feet, load the ball just below your chest, and then the rising up and shooting action. Kind of two separate things that you need to do. And as we've learned more about shooting mechanics and the modern NBA has developed, we've kind of learned that it should all just be one fluid motion of your body. That way you're not wasting energy. And the transference of energy just comes very cleanly off you. That allows for more consistency. And nowhere is that more relevant than when you're watching Payton Pritchard shoot. He barely ever brings the ball below his chest. It always stays locked and loaded. Comes off of his fingers very, very fluidly. His base is always exactly the same. His body is squared away at the rim. It is just really a thing of beauty to watch this guy shoot. It's quite impressive. I'm going to rewind a little bit, and we'll talk about this shot here in just a second. But I do just want to point out that his favorite spot on the court to shoot from, which if you couldn't tell from that little compilation we were walking, is from above the break. He made over 200 above the break threes last year. He shoots 40% from that position on the court with an effective field goal percentage of 60.4. Just kind of crazy numbers for shooting, even in the modern NBA. He obviously receives a lot of passes that get him open. He's not taking step backs and all sorts of crazy stuff, right? He gets about 75% of his shots come off of assists, but he also takes 25% unassisted. This guy takes a myriad of different kinds of threes. We're coming off of pin downs, off of double screens, off of flares. He'll take step backs, pull ups, side steps, whatever. He's just like an exceptional shooter. Oh, let's rewind this clip a little bit because I just want to see this shot. This is one of my favorite plays. Oh, just gets that right over the arm of the outstretched arm of the defender. Excuse me. This is another crazy three, off kilter, off balance in the corner with the shot clock running out, and he just hits a dumb shot that no one should. Again, he's got a lot of shake and bake to his game. He doesn't take a ton of unassisted threes. Again, only about a corner of his shots, but when he does, they look good. Like this guy's got a lot of potential to continue growing as an offensive talent. Now, speaking of growing as an offensive talent, we'll talk about his inside the arc scoring just a little bit. Now, you may think this guy is just a shooter and nothing more, but that couldn't be further from the truth. He is also like an excellent rim finisher, and it's for a couple of different things. He's a very crafty ball handler. He's got a nice quick twitch. He's got a first step. Again, look at that. Beautiful blow by on a much bigger defender there. He uses the threat of his three really, really well, which, again, like all good shooters do. He's able to attack closeouts. He's able to attack, defenders one-on-one. Look at that nice rip through. Just slips that up and in, gets the and one. That's a tough shot to make, man. Payton Pritchard, this is, again, according to Data Baller, one of my favorite websites. But He is 68th percentile in the league in finishing relative true shooting percentage against the league average. So above average as a rim finisher in this league. Pretty solid, not too bad for a guy who's probably 6 foot flat. I don't have too many more clips here, but there were some other stats I wanted to talk about real quickly. And now we blurted off that crazy stat from Data Baller, but here's one that probably makes a little bit more sense to everybody. He shoots 75% at the rim, which is in the 98th percentile of this league. Again, just like a really excellent rim finisher. He's kind of, we're about to talk about his defense in just a second, and I think on the defensive end is where he tends to look pretty small and pretty weak, but on the offensive end, he can really kind of bump guys sometimes. He does an excellent job. Like he's got a stout body, he's not really thin, so he can kind of move guys a little bit, like give him a bump, give him a shoulder, create contact. He absorbs contact well, and again, I think that all just leads into him being like a decent rim finisher. I think this is our last little clip here, and I like this. Just a nice little, like, very slight head fake. Gets a nice blow by with the little, probably would have been a nice lay-in, but that it was a goaltend there. Again, like a much craftier finisher than you would think, considering how much people tend to just focus on his shooting. Now, unfortunately, we do have to talk about his defense here, and unfortunately, the defense is not necessarily a positive in this case. He, as I said, on offense, his strong frame helps him to create advantages, but it doesn't really translate to defense for whatever reason. He's not like a small, crafty, strong defensive guard. Think someone like Javon Carter. He tends to get overpowered very easily. A lot of ball handlers can kind of move him. He dies on screens especially, which I think is something we'll mention here. And his defensive IQ is not fantastic. This first clip here kind of highlights those defensive IQ issues. It got cut off right here at the beginning, but this play starts with a high screen and roll action. Obviously, Al Horford intends to switch this. Payton Pritchard did not get that memo, and he's chasing Jason Brunson really hard here. So Karl-Anthony Towns is wide open with about 20 feet of space and not a single defender in front of him. So Payton Pritchard is going to be late getting over. Now, again, what was he really going to do if, he stays in front of Karl-Anthony Towns right here? But it doesn't really matter because this allows Karl-Anthony Towns to get to the rim pretty easily here. And although he does miss this shot, that was poor defensive communication from Payton Pritchard there on what was obviously supposed to be a switch. This is when I was talking about him kind of getting bumped off his spot really easily there. The Orlando guard here really should have finished this layup. It's quite easy, but Payton Pritchard, gets moved just off the spot so easily and doesn't really put up much of a fight in stopping that. Now, unfortunately, we are going to have to see Payton Pritchard get cooked by the MVP of the league here, which most players do, so I don't know how much you can hold this against him, but this is an example of him getting targeted when he's on the court. Sometimes you can play good defense as a smaller guy, and it just doesn't really matter, and this clip kind of exemplifies that. We got a close game. We're under 5 minutes. It's a 6-point game, and we've got Shai Gilgeous-Alexander ISO'd out here on top. We've got Isaiah Joe on the wing, meaning that there's probably not really going to be any help coming from Derek White here. The Celtics are in zone right now, but Payton is kind of just exclusively matched up here on Shai. And Shai's got kind of all the space he wants to work with. He's going to hit him with a beautiful move, just a quick turnaround. That wasn't bad defense from Payton Pritchard, but it just didn't matter. He's too small. This clip is a little weird to me because, again, I think he's he has a high IQ on offense. But on this play in particular, it's kind of weird and lazy. So Jaylen Brown he gets his pocket picked here. He loses it. Mind you, the Blazers are picking up this ball at the free throw line. Payton Pritchard is off screen. He's out here. Derek White is behind this play. Yet, now all of a sudden, he takes a second too long to get running, and he is basically unable to help defend this fast break layup. Now, because Derek White is one of the best defenders in the league, he does an awesome job of helping to slow down the fast break, has a great contest here, and there is a missed layup, but again, just kind of a weird non-effort from him. And then this is one last example of Payton Pritchard not really fighting over a screen. This is kind of what I talked about earlier. He doesn't do it very often. He has a tendency to die on them. This screen is being set by Josh Hart, who, mind you, is not someone who's 7 feet tall, but it's being set by Josh Hart, who is a strong guy in his own right. Luke Cornett is in drop, because he has to be. So Payton Pritchard dying on this screen gives Jalen Brunson like the easiest shot in the world. Jalen Brunson is seeing this all day, and he's just thinking about barbecue chicken. You know what I mean? The shot is too easy. There's just no one's here to contest, and it's because Payton didn't really make much of an effort to like slither or fight through that screen, which is weird because it's something he has done, as I'm going to show you here in a second. It's something he could do consistently. Like, he's very fast. He's got a decent frame. Like, if he just gave a little bit more of an effort, I think he could be a decent defensive player. He just has these moments where he doesn't really try that hard, or he just kind of mixes up his rotations, mixes up a switch, and it leads to an easy bucket for the offense. Now, I do just want to talk about some positivity, some optimism, I suppose is the right word. We've got a couple of clips here that showcase some decent defensive moments. He's matched up on Kyrie up top. Does an excellent job of noticing that Kyrie's going for that little step back. Puts his hand up to make a contest. Because Kyrie didn't just rise up, his hand is already out to make that nice strip. He strips Kyrie on a step back. That's a good defensive play. And then when I'm talking about, this guy fully has the ability to fight over screens if he really wanted to, it's because he does it right here. Evan Mobley coming up to set up a screen. He knows it, and, he is pushing to get over this screen. I don't think Donovan Mitchell, utilizes this screen in the best of manner. There's a lot of space for Payton Pritchard to get through here, but still makes an effort, fights over, and he forces a turnover. That's a good moment from him. That's a strong moment, and I think he could be doing that more. Now, just before we wrap this video up, let's take a look at his, this is Payton Pritchard's data baller page, and we can see where I've been getting some of my stats from. I thought it'd be good if I could just give you guys some eyes on this and let you go over it. Now, of course, again, all of these stats have been coming from last year. We do not have enough of a sample size to look at numbers from this year. But I think the main things that jump out to me, the on-off ratings for Payton Pritchard are excellent. The net rating when he's on the court is excellent. He has a good three-point attempt rate. Again, most of Data Baller uses per 75, I think. Per 75, per 100. They're all adjusted rates. He's not a guy who turns the ball over a lot. He's an excellent shooter. A lot of his stats look really, really good. And, yeah, he does play for a good team. So some of these, the Darko numbers and whatnot, are going to be elevated compared to some of his constituents in the NBA. But just a solid basketball player. I really enjoy watching him play again. If you ever catch him when he's on a heater, it's super fun. He's a very efficient, effective player, and I can't wait to see what he does this year with Jayson Tatum out. I think he's got a great opportunity to really advance his career forward. Well, I think that just about wraps us up here today. Payton Pritchard, again, one of my just favorite microwave scorers in the NBA. Super smart offensive player, could use some work defensively. He's going to have a long career in this league, and it's easy to tell why the Boston fans love him, you know what I mean? So I think any team would love to have a guy like this. But I think that about does it all for me here today. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Hopefully you learned something. That's the point. Go ahead and leave a comment if there's any topics you want me to talk about, if there's any players you want me to get to in the future. I'm always taking suggestions. Otherwise, I think you should have a lovely rest of your day. You should do your best to have a lovely rest of your day. And I will catch you all in the next video. Bye.